Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great.
Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer-mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
Welcome back, tokers and tokettes and non-toking lovers of liberty. It's Hour 2, Toker Talk Radio, available live at 420radio.org, 4 p.m. weekdays. And welcome to some of you podcast listeners who are tuning in live for the first time. And if you want replays of this Hour 2, they're available at 420radio.org, but you have to be a registered VIP supporter of 420radio.org. You can join 420 Radio as a registered supporter right there at 420radio.org/donate. And you can make a one-time donation, but that doesn't get you a VIP account. You have to sign up for the monthly donation, and you get the VIP account, which includes the replays of Toker Talk Radio and discounts at the 420 Radio shop. Now, the higher level you subscribe at, the more discount you get at the shop. And one of the things that's up at the shop are all my PowerPoint presentations that I deliver at all these professional forums, all of these cannabis cups. They're all available up at 420radio.org, and you're welcome to buy them, download them, and use them any way you like. So make that happen. And remember, if you're a VIP, you get a discount on the download cost. If you the stuff you buy at the shop and the VIP memberships go to support Radical Russ Media LLC, the production company, 420radio.org, and the Russ Belville Show. All right, on today's show, Hour 2 here, and remember, our phone lines are open. If you've got a topic, a question, anything you want to cover, the phone lines are open toll free at 844-207-2346. That's 84-420 Radio. You can call in. We'll talk about whatever you like. We'd love to hear from all across the United States and Canada, and we even get international listeners sometimes. So we'll take all calls. But until we get some calls, I want to talk about some stories here, and one of them goes back to my home state of Idaho. In fact, one of my hometowns. I lived in Boise, the capital, and as you can tell from my, if you're looking on the webcam, my camouflage Boise State hat. I went back to Idaho and I spent too much money on Boise State swag. I did. I bought a lot of stuff. But there's a story here on Huffington Post today saying the federal government says being homeless should not be a crime. Prosecuting people for sleeping in public violates their constitutional rights. Wow. This is the Obama administration, Department of Justice, filing a petition against, or a suit against the city of Boise, Idaho. Because Boise, Idaho, and they're picking on Boise, but there's other cities that have these. Boise, Idaho has anti-camping laws and they are ordinances against sleeping in public spaces. And they convict these homeless people for, sleeping in a public space. The attorneys for the Justice Department say that the conduct of sleeping in a public place is indistinguishable from the status of homelessness, and that it should be uncontroversial that punishing conduct that is a universal and unavoidable consequence of being human violates the Eighth Amendment. Finding a safe and legal place to sleep can be difficult or even impossible for many homeless people. Sleeping is a life-sustaining activity. It must occur at some time in some place. If a person literally has nowhere else to go, then enforcement of the anti-camping ordinance against that person criminalizes him or her for being homeless. End quote. And Vanita Gupta, the head of the Civil Rights Division, in a statement said, quote, criminally prosecuting those individuals for something as innocent as sleeping when they have no safe legal place to go violates their constitutional rights. Moreover, enforcing these ordinances is poor public policy. Needlessly pushing homeless individuals into the criminal justice system does nothing to break the cycle of poverty or prevent homelessness in the future. Instead, it imposes further burdens on scarce judicial and correctional resources, and it can have long-lasting and devastating effects on individuals' lives. End quote. Hear, 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 hear. And this is something, I ranted about this the other day about how being back in Nampa, Idaho, it's a little different because I'm driving. You don't see dispensary, strip club, homeless, right? You don't see homeless people much in Boise or in Nampa. And these are part of the reasons why they criminalize this. Now, I got to be honest. I'd rather not see homeless people either. I see them all the time when I'm driving around. Homeless people on the corners of right where the freeway ramps are, or on the busy corners with a sign begging for change. I don't want to see that. I don't like it. But I'm not going to criminalize those people. I'm not going to turn them into criminals for being homeless. Now, I do have a problem with the exchange of money on the busy traffic section, right? That I've got a problem with because I think that's kind of almost a safety issue there. Just people standing around in traffic. I don't know that we should allow that. And there are some places that have laws that criminalize financial transactions in those kind of situations in traffic. I think a better idea, though, is how about we take a look at what the root causes are of this instead of trying to treat the symptoms. It's one of our problems here in this country. We keep trying to treat the symptoms of things. We don't like drugs, so let's make them illegal. We don't like homeless people, so let's make them illegal. We don't like prostitutes, so let's make them illegal. And invariably, we make things worse by doing so. Utah, I think, has come up with the solution. And look, Idaho, ethnically and religiously, might as well be North Utah. Okay? And I'm not telling tales out of school. I'm baptized Mormon in Idaho, so I know of which I'm speaking. But Utah figured it out. Utah figured that if you add up all the cost of the emergency room services, of the homeless shelters, of the food, all the things that, the public services, the healthcare costs, everything that goes in to having a homeless population, it turns out that it's cheaper to actually just put them in a house or an apartment, I should say. And that's what Salt Lake City did. That's what Utah did. They figured out, hey, if you're homeless, we've got this bunch of apartments. Costs like $11,000 a year to keep you in this apartment. Costs $12,000 to treat you out on the streets. Let's put you in this house. And they found that when these people, homeless people, had addresses and a safe, secure place to be, they were able to break their cycle of poverty. They were able to get jobs and get on their feet and move out of those places and into their own places. Wow, what a remarkable Christian idea. Giving homeless people places to sleep and live. Do you realize that we have more homes in foreclosure in America than homeless people? There's literally an empty house available for every homeless person in this country. We got to do better to help the least of these among us. We got to do better at lifting up the lowest among us, and that will raise all of our lives They'll raise all of our standards of living if we could just recognize that reality. And it's so frustrating me sometimes because I'm an atheist. I've told everyone many times. I'm not shy about that. But I'm also well aware and respectful of the basics of Christian philosophy, which really are the basics of Buddhist philosophy and Taoist philosophy and Jewish philosophy and Muslim philosophy. They're all really the same kind of universal truths. Do unto others, judge not lest ye be judged, that which you do to the least of these, you do unto me, etc., etc. I'm cool with all that philosophy. So it just bothers me that we live in a country in America that always wants to claim to be such a Christian nation, and can't grasp the basic tenet that even this atheist understands, that you don't deny people plant-based medicines. You don't criminalize their sleeping on the street when they got nowhere to go. You care for people. You help people. Why is that so hard for people to figure out?
Five of the last 9 major party candidates to run for president, 3 of the last 9 vice presidential candidates, and the last 3 two-term presidents have all smoked pot. Marijuana, the gateway drug to the White House. This is the Russ Belville Show. .420 Radio, the home of marijuana experts.
420 Radio is brought to you by Sacred Serum, who is focused on creating elegant and sophisticated cannabis solutions through its line of dispensers and vaporizers that come preloaded with the world's finest cannabis concentrate. Sacred Serum's concentrate is made on pharmaceutical-grade supercritical CO2 extraction machines that use absolutely no butane or other toxic chemicals. The Vesica, the company's innovative new way to dab and frost, is now available in dispensaries across California. Sacred Serum, elegance and sophistication concentrated.
Cannabis culture goes way back, you dig? Way before hippies and beatniks and pigs. Back to hep cats like Louis Armstrong and Cab Calloway. Soulful dames like Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday. All the way to old DUIs and the Rat Pack. So come spark up a jazz cigarette and take a trip back to when marijuana was jive, muggles, reefer, and tea. It's the new Viper Hour, Daddy-O, see? The early 20th century archives of blues, jazz, and swing that defined the cannabis culture and everything. Every Monday night at 8 p.m. and weekends at 1 a.m. Pacific on 420radio.org, the home for marijuana music.
The Oregon Medical Marijuana Business Conference is happening September 12th and 13th at the Hilton in downtown Portland. Hi, I'm Alex Rogers, and I hope you'll take advantage of this amazing opportunity to learn the latest business and legal information concerning cannabis commerce in Oregon in 2015 and beyond. Check out OMMBC.com right now for early bird pricing because we're likely to sell out. That's OMMBC.com, the Oregon Medical Marijuana Business Conference.
Welcome back, everybody. That's music from J-Bug.
All of them people, well, them hurting outside, they falling. Taking all this propaganda from Babylon, they feeding. Yeah, how waste for precipitation. Because them real slick, these moves aren't seen very often. Them a try to cover up, but them line are straight. They disguising any form of shape. Learn up you.
J-Bug with Wolves. That's some of our Irie Wednesday music. Coming up at 4:20, we've got our daily Toker tunes for Groovin' Thursday coming up. Music from Curran is on deck. We'll have Chuck Diesel tell us all about it at 4:20. But right now I want to talk about, oh my goodness, it's fun being a marijuana legalizer in 2015. You know, I've been doing this since 2005, and it was a lot tougher back then in the heyday of the Bush administration and 36% national support for legalization. But these days it's a lot of fun because we're watching the end of Prohibition. We're watching the Prohibition dinosaurs sink into the tar pits of history. And it's just fun watching them squeal and struggle, but it to no avail. The tide of history is taking them down. And for me, part of it is looking at their web presence. Largely, the fight for marijuana legalization is being carried on by a younger generation. So if you go to the websites of Regulate Massachusetts or Reform California, or back in our day, Measure 91 and so forth, you go to our websites and they're pro websites. They look nice. They work well on tablets. They work well on phones. They work great on the web. They're bright and simple and elegantly streamlined. And then you go to the websites of the prohibitionists. So this one, which might have been written in 2002, judging by the HTML. But no, it's powered by something called Website Builder. So it's one of those build it, fill in the blanks website things, right? So this is a website called unwantedpotgrows.com. unwantedpotgrows.com. And for me, the first sign that it was kind of going to be fun is their logo. Their logo is just the words on 3 levels, right? Unwanted, and then the next level, pot, and then the third level, grows.com, right? Unwanted, pot, grows.com on 3 lines, and then the familiar red circle / through it. That's their logo. So wait a minute. Doesn't that mean that we are against the website unwantedpotgrows.com? Didn't we just put a / through that? That's your logo? Okay. You'd think maybe a pot leaf with a / through it. There you go. Unwanted pot grow, right? No. A / through their own URL. Okay. And then there's a bunch of photos. A bunch of beautiful photos of Oregon landscapes, Mount Hood, lots of photos of Mount Hood, as a matter of fact, farmlands and good rural folks, right? And so this unwantedpotgrows.com on their homepage says, as communities across the country face the impact of marijuana grow sites in our communities. So first sentence right off the bat, right? As communities across the country face the impact of marijuana grow sites in our communities. The time has come to publicly address the direct impact these sites have upon public safety, quality of life, and our property values. Now, there's some spacing problems before the comma. We got an extra space in there. And there's numerous typographical errors and homonym problems, right? THERE, where there should be a THEIR, those kind of things. But they're saying together we can make a difference. Many of the issues that the communities need to know about these unwanted pot grows. And so one pot grow they've got a problem with is this one that was put up. It was at a equestrian center in Clackamas County around here. And they're growing now in this equestrian center. And at one point in their complaint, they talk about how marijuana, well, now there's this grow site and it's right there. It's within 500 feet, 700 feet away from a large church. And it's surrounded by 7 rural residential homes. And it's within 100 feet. It's in public view of those traveling on the church road located within 100 feet of this marijuana grow. People are going to have to walk by and drive by and see that there's a marijuana grow. And they're really upset about this. And they talk about how close it is to all these things. But then in the next set of complaints, they talk about they have a personal testimony from someone who lives by this place, talking about now there's security gates and there's lights, the motion sensor lights, and there's security cameras. And every time I go outside to take out my trash, there's a security camera that gets me on camera and blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, but why is all those security requirements required? Because you all hate pot so much that it got prohibited. And when it got prohibited, the price got artificially high. And when the price got artificially high, it got worth stealing. It's your own damn fault. This is your own chickens coming home to roost. If marijuana were truly just another agricultural crop, treated like the others, like an alfalfa field, you wouldn't have a problem with it coming in next to you, would you?
Well, Lottie frickin' God!
It's 420 here in Potland, Oregon, where marijuana is legal. We're going to take a break because we have a very important safety meeting to get to here at Rolla J Studios. And when we come back, we got Chuck Diesel on the line with some new music from Curran. Stay tuned. You're listening to 420radio.org.
420 Radio, fighting prohibition since 2012. The fingerboard extension has fretted instruments to enhance your creativity. It has new and used guitars and banjos from beginning to high class. The fingerboard extension has National Resophonic, Husson Dalton, Larrabee, Heritage and Recording King guitars, and Mike Ramsey, Wildwood, Gold Tone, and Recording King banjos. The fingerboard extension also has drum stuff, used gear, and parts. Stop by the fingerboard extension, downtown Corvallis, Oregon at 120 Northwest 2nd, or check out the inventory on the web at fingerboardextension.com and reverb.com. Oregon has joined Washington and Colorado in legalizing marijuana. We're Portland NORML, the national organization for the reform of marijuana laws chapter in Portland, Oregon. Join us as we celebrate the launch of an exciting new era in marijuana freedom in Oregon. Our job has just begun. Powerful interests want to white out the most important portions of Oregon's legalization law. By joining Portland NORML, you add your voice to the thousands who voted for Measure 91 and want it to be implemented as written. The people have spoken. Now it is time for the legislature to obey the will of the people. Find out more about Portland NORML at portlandnormal.org. Attend our monthly membership meetings on the fourth Saturday of the month. See our website for more details. Portland NORML, ensuring responsible adult marijuana consumers are afforded the same rights, privileges, and responsibilities as beer drinkers. This is Radical Russ encouraging you to take a look at the Weed Blog every day. Johnny Green and the staff at the Weed Blog are on top of all the latest developments in the fight to end marijuana prohibition nationwide. You can even get the Weed Blog on your smartphone by installing the Weed Blog app for iPhone and Android. If it's about weed, it's on the Weed Blog, including my original writing. So don't delay. Read the Weed Blog today.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Groovin' Thursday, featuring rap, hip-hop, soul, and funk music. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tune.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're enjoying your 420 break and joining us here to enjoy the 420 with us in legal Potland, Oregon. We got Chuck Diesel on the line. How you doing, Chuck?
Doing great, Russ. How are you?
I am fabulous. Having a good time and enjoying some fine legal Oregon marijuana.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I'm just was just reading about some drinking games for the Republican debate tonight. I was thinking about turning those into dabbing games.
There you go. I saw that. I saw that post too and thought exactly the same thing. Although I don't know if I can actually smoke that much pot in a 2-hour period.
Exactly. That's what I was afraid of. That's exactly what I was afraid of. Every time they say taking America back, I got to take a dab. I just don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, that might be a time for a dab overdose for sure. But yeah, the Republican debate is happening tonight, and it's funny because they're doing these top 10 poll guys are doing the live debate, and then the other 7 are like at the kids' table, right? It's like Thanksgiving. They got a debate at the kids' table. So that's funny, first of all.
Yeah, I was reading about that, them calling them the kids' table, and just the sheer amount of candidates is pretty astonishing. I'll be curious to see, though. I mean, you've mentioned this before, just that eventually, I mean, we know it's not going to be Chris Christie, but they could steal this issue. I don't think there's any signs of them doing that, but who knows? I mean, maybe one of the libertarian-leaning Rand Paul or something.
I would hope that Rand Paul would find a way to bring up either legalization or more broadly the mass incarceration issue in tonight's debate.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we count on you for there, your libertarian ally.
Yeah, we shall see. And I had written this piece on Huffington Post about having a 16-team bracket for the Republican debate, just having to go one-on-one bracket style. Turns out that Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks had suggested the same thing like 3 weeks ago, and I didn't realize it. And one of my Twitter followers was like, dude, did you steal that from Cenk? I'm like, no, I didn't even hear it. I didn't even know. All right, let's get to some Groovin' Thursday. Let's get to some Groovin' Thursday music here. We got a new tune lined up, and if I got that right, it's from Curran or Currency.
Currency.
The dollar sign gets cut off, and I'm never
currency
sure.
Off. Oh no, yeah, it's Currency, obviously spelled with the dollar sign, and it's off a new mixtape he's got called Cathedral, and it's called The Plug.
The Plug. All right, let's get to it, and thanks, Chuck Diesel, for bringing us this tune. Appreciate it.
Talk to you later, Russ.
Yeah. Canal Street Confidential. Information in these files will probably kill you. Guard it with your life. This shit I'm giving you, super pure Snow White. Step on it more than twice, it'll still come out right. We slang it at night, iTunes never closes. Moving units at 4 in the morning. Fuck is you doing? Hating instead of going for it. Mad at the player throwing rocks at the scoreboard. Oh boy, I'm in my new tour with my new bitch. We smoking hella noise. Oh, that's that loud shit. I always got it out. Come through my feet out. Make my profits rise. You can't stop these guys. Be it red lights, barricades, or yield signs. Run through that whack ass defensive line to get mine. Add that paper up, subtract the suckers, then we split the pie. Corporation never die. Alright. In that Porsche looking like I play sports. In that Lamb, bitches saying I'm the man. In that Bentley looking like heaven sent me. Ferrari horses building castles in the sand. I do it for my city cause I love them. I stunned on your bitch before I fucked up. Looking for the plug, you ain't know I was one of the coldest motherfuckers rap hustling. My OG gave me this golf hat. I'm posted up not too far from where he parked at. I came through clowning, I know you saw that. With my rag top back and my baseball cap. Backyard where my swimming pool and dogs at. Patio furniture, I'm taking weed naps. Big money dice game in the big zack of the Lizab. I'm in there recording Rizzaps. Rep the set, throw up jets, I know you see that. Gathering stacks, we touring the Mizap. Champagne came with the game. Along with the bitches, they attracted to the fame. Like moss drawn to the flame. Can't even blame. Human nature is the pursuit of paper. They know my name, they know it mean money. Free C murder, sincerely yours. See money, I'm in that porch looking like I play sports. In that Lamb, bitches saying I'm the man. In that Bentley looking like heaven sent me. Ferrari horses building castles in the sand. I do it for my city cause I love them. I stunned on your bitch before I fucked up. Looking for the plug, you ain't know I was one of the coldest motherfuckers rap hustling. Stunning on your bitch before I fuck, yeah. Stunning on your bitch before I fuck, yeah. Stunning on your bitch before I fuck, yeah. Stunning on your bitch before I love, yeah. Stunning on your bitch before I fuck, yeah. Stunning on your bitch before I fuck, yeah.
.420 Radio, your ticket to the Boston Freedom Rally. Get.Buzz. .Buzz is the internet platform that fuels community interest, excitement, and new experiences. .Buzz is the premier online destination for internet users seeking the latest news on a variety of topics. .Buzz appeals to groups active in blogging, communications, journalism, advertising, and marketing. .buzz offers registrants a stronger alternative to the shrinking namespace of existing top-level domain names, such as .com, .net, and .org. Get your name now at get.buzz. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Very effective. Check out lushledlighting.com right now and tell them Radical Russ sent you. You're listening to 420 Radio. Listen Wednesdays at noon Pacific for Hemp Radio, podcasting from hempradio.com. Patty Cakes, the queen of cannabis, and the crew of Hemp Radio are all veterans of Southern California medical marijuana activism. Check our online listings for Hemp Radio with Patty Cakes and Candace Hawes from hempradio.com. Hey everybody, it's Radical Russ here from 420 Radio, inviting you to be like me and get your ink done at Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo, Fort Worth's most female-friendly, clean, sterile, awesome tattoo shop. Thomas and his crew are true artists who can design you a custom piece or use a design you bring in. Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo also offers all styles of tattooing as well as piercings and all-around fun. In the DFW area, stop by Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo and tell them Radical Russ sent you. Trust me, it'll feel awesome.
There's no sun up in the sky, stormy weather, since my girl and I been together, yeah. It keeps on raining all the while, yeah. Oh, my life is so bad, gloom and misery everywhere. Stormy weather, since my girl and I been together, yeah. Oh, it keeps raining on.
Oh yeah, now that's some groovin' Thursday music from Willie Hutch with Stormy Weather. That's the kind of music you'll hear on Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink. You get a replay every Thursday night at 8 p.m. So that's coming up tonight in about 3.5 hours. And then you can catch the live edition spun directly from Atlanta, Georgia. You can watch him on the Ustream cam as well. Big Daddy Fink from Atlanta will be spinning you some more Big Daddy Fink funk coming up this Friday night at 10 o'clock as part of our 6-hour music block. 6-hour weekend music block starts at 8 p.m. Pacific with the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. 10 o'clock, Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink. 11 o'clock, Electric Bob's Boogaloo. Midnight, Gordon Green's Music Planet. And 1 in the morning, the new Viper Hour. 6 hours in a row from intense metal all the way to early 20th century blues, jazz, and swing. You can check out the schedule online at 420radio.org/schedule. Find out when the times are in your time zone. All right, I want to get to this story that's in one of our local Portland papers, the Portland Tribune. Now, we got a number of papers here. We have the Oregonian, which is the daily, and we have the Willamette Week, which is a weekly. We have the Portland Mercury, which is a weekly. And then you have the Portland Tribune, which is a bi-weekly. And of them, you could say that the Oregonian is kind of CNN, and the two weeklies are kind of your MSNBC, and then the Portland Tribune, that's more on your Fox News side, right? So you're thinking, media politically, the Portland Tribune's kind of the right-wing paper. So there is this story written by Jennifer Anderson up on the Portland Tribune today that says, Oregon grapples with pot and driving. All right, so Oregon grapples with pot and driving, and let me just read for you the first three paragraphs. See if you can find out what's wrong in these first three paragraphs. You wouldn't know it from a Cheech and Chong video or any of the Animal House-like stereotypes out there, but driving high may be more dangerous than it seems. That's what police and transportation officials have found in Colorado and Washington since their recreational marijuana laws took effect. Both states have seen their number of driving under the influence charges skyrocket and continue to see marijuana-related crashes and fatalities pile up. Oh my goodness. There we go. Mayhem on the freeways up here in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State, Colorado as well, in the Rocky Mountains. Mayhem on the freeways. DUI charges skyrocketed, marijuana crashes and fatalities pile up. Now, the rest of this story, and this is a long-ass story. The rest of this story goes on about DUI limits and possession, blah, 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 blah. Long story, like 4 screens long. Nowhere in this report does it mention the fact, the easily verifiable fact, that driving fatalities in the state of Colorado are at historic record lows. Fewer people died on Colorado roadways in the last year of data than any other year recorded in the state of Colorado. Similar data exists in Washington state. Fewer people are dying on the roadways in the 2 states that legalized marijuana. Now, they try to justify this in the story, and this is the talking points you usually get from these people. The Sergeant David Abramson of the Portland Police Bureau's Fatal Crash Team is also concerned. Quote, I think we're going to see a lot of fatals and crashes in the next few years. That's just sad. From my perspective, it's tough knocking on that door at 3 or 4 in the morning and saying, look, your loved one passed on. End quote. Wait a minute. Where do you get the idea you're going to see more fatals and more crashes in the next few years when we've seen the opposite in Washington and Colorado? The numbers are statistically down, consistently down. Where are these fatalities coming from? And this is the other thing that's bothersome to me, because in the very next paragraph, it says, dealing with drivers under the influence of marijuana, often in combination with alcohol and other drugs, is nothing new for police or the courts. Right! Exactly right. There's nothing new about it. Legalization did not create cars and marijuana. We've currently got 1 in 9 Oregonians who smoke pot on a monthly basis. I'll bet a lot of them drive. Some of them may actually smoke and drive. So if we were going to see mayhem on the freeways, we would have seen it by now. Oregon legalized medical use of marijuana in 1998. From that point, we went from like 500 patients to now over 70,000 patients. And yet, Oregon's rate of fatalities per 100 million miles is a steady downward trend. Even as tens of thousands of people got the ability to possess 1.5 pounds of marijuana, many of these people who are drivers, we did not see any corresponding increase in fatals and crashes. Now, what they say will be new is the number of people who will be using recreational marijuana for the first time since college or ever. Well, did we see that in Colorado and Washington? did we see an increase in the rate of marijuana use in those states? Well, guess what? We did not. We didn't. The rates are still relatively the same among the kids. Among the adults, maybe it might be up a little bit, but again, overall fatalities are down. Now, they'll come back on you when you say that. So yeah, the overall fatalities are down, but the percentage of those fatalities that have marijuana in their system is up. It was like 18%, now it's 23% or whatever number they throw at you. But really, what difference does that make? Dead is dead. Whether they were drinking and driving, smoking and driving, were on Oxycontin and driving, or fell asleep behind the wheel, dead is dead. Isn't the goal fewer deaths? Yes, okay, we legalized marijuana, we got fewer deaths. What's your problem? Well, the problem is that if it weren't for the illegal marijuana, there'd be even fewer deaths if those people weren't dying from the marijuana. Well, okay. So their point here would be that we went from X number of deaths to fewer deaths, but it'd be even fewer deaths if the marijuana DUIs weren't in there. And that, hey, maybe that would be true. Maybe. And maybe Michael Phelps might have won a couple more gold medals in his career if he hadn't been a pot smoker. Maybe that bronze that he got, remember he got one that was a bronze? Maybe that had been a gold medal. Maybe instead of 22 gold medals, he'd have 23 now. Or maybe not, right? Because here's something to think about. Some of those new pot DUI deaths may just be people who aren't using alcohol anymore and might have died from an alcohol DUI in the past. Because if the percentage of marijuana DUIs is going up, doesn't that mean that the percentage of other things that are causing DUIs has to shrink somewhere? Could it be that perhaps no matter what we do, there's a certain number of people that are going to die in auto wrecks? Just statistically, it's going to happen. There's going to be a non-zero number of people who die in auto wrecks unless we lower the speed limit to 5, right? There's going to be a non-zero number of people who get into auto wrecks, and yet what we're just finding is what is the makeup of the people who get into auto wrecks. We're not finding anything out about causality. So are there more people now who have marijuana in their system? Perhaps, because now it's legal and it's okay to have it in your system. But that doesn't say that having it in their system is what caused them to wreck. Now, with alcohol, we can make those kind of statements because there's a dose-dependent relationship and a fixed metabolism. The rate at which you process alcohol is pretty much a steady, predictable thing. But we can't make that assumption when it comes to marijuana. So all we're finding out is that when you take all the people who got into auto wrecks, it's more likely that you're finding pot in their system. Well, yeah, it's also more likely that you're finding that they're gay and married. There's probably more married gay people in auto wrecks these days too. Because there are more married gay people now because it's legal. Likewise with marijuana. Now that marijuana is legal, people are using it. Maybe they're using it more often, but it doesn't mean it's causing them to wreck. It just means that you're more likely to find it in their system. This scaremongering about marijuana and driving, and in the article, they talk about all sorts of, Colorado and Washington having their 5 nanogram limit. And in here, the one upside of this that I found was one of the people talking about how having a 5 nanogram limit doesn't really help them from a law enforcement perspective because it actually provides an out for some people that they thought were too high to drive. They pull someone over, they find they're too high to drive. They get the blood test warrant and they take them in for the blood test. Now it's an hour or 2, maybe 3 hours later. Their blood THC levels have gone down below the 5 nanogram limit. And now when they go to court, their defense lawyer can say, hey, well, Your Honor, my client was below the legal limit. And that sinks the case when before it would have relied on the testimony of the officer saying, hey, well, look, this guy was all over his lane. He was slowing and speeding up. He was exhibiting all the typical behaviors of a marijuana driver. Well, that gets undercut by the defense lawyer being able to say, well, he was under the legal limit. So maybe law enforcement is starting to recognize as well that setting a magic bullet number for marijuana doesn't really work. They tried in Oregon. They wanted to try to establish this in Oregon. They also wanted to try to establish blood draws as part of the implied consent. When you sign up for your driver's license, you imply consent that by signing this license, I will submit to a urine or a blood test. In this case, blood test was going to be added. Most states have this implied consent. Check your laws, but most of them, when you get a driver's license, your signature says you agree to give up a urine sample. And if you don't, you lose your license. I recommend losing your license. I would never give the police more evidence, right? You're not getting my blood. You're not getting my urine. I'm not dancing in front of the cop car, touching my finger to my nose and walking the line. Take me in and I'll call my lawyer. I'm not going to help you out. Not going to give you more evidence. Not going to help you make your case. So, but again, talk to your lawyer about that. That's just what I'm going to do. But maybe they're starting to understand that what Oregon has done is to rely on whether someone's actually impaired. Observe their driving behavior. Observe their behavior behind the wheel when you're talking to them. If they consent to the roadside sobriety test, observe that behavior. But let's bust people for being impaired, not for just now being consumers of a legal product. This is one of those directions we've got to take a look at as marijuana becomes legalized. What are our new fights? And I think this is one of them. Making sure we're not unfairly punished behind the wheel. We've got to repeal those 5 nanogram limits in Washington State and Colorado and ensure that no future marijuana legalization states put together such unscientific DUI laws.
Jive, marry, grifo, grass, hay. Technically, it's cannabis sativa, the common name, marijuana. She has found a crutch to see her through her difficulties instead of facing up to them and coping with them. And in time, she may be ready to try something different, something better.
Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
420 Radio, freeing your mind 24 hours a day. Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
Despite strong public support for medical cannabis, decriminalization, and legalization in Georgia, the state spends $121 million every year to arrest, prosecute, and imprison Georgians for simple possession. Each year, the state of Georgia spends less on driver services, agriculture, and forestry combined. What else can $121 million a year do in Georgia? With that much money, the state could hire and keep 3,000 more teachers, improve roads and bridges, provide tax relief for small businesses, repair aging sewage systems, or lower taxes. But right now, that's millions of dollars of your tax money wasted on failed enforcement. Tell your representative you're tired of wasteful spending and ask them to end cannabis prohibition. Join the conversation at www.peachtreenormal.org. Peachtree Normal is a proud affiliate of NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws.
You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, we've got Frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs, we've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com and follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter.
Go.
Welcome back, everyone. Music from Wiz Khalifa with Hopes and Dreams. You're listening to Toker Talk Radio on 420radio.org. Make sure you join us tomorrow for our show, the Russ Belville Show, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. Our guest on tomorrow's show will be Ryan Nerds of the Cannabis Report. They're relaunching the Cannabis Report on Monday. He's going to be here to talk all about it. Business becoming a big topic here in the world of marijuana. So learn more about that tomorrow on the Russ Belville Show. Now, I want to close the show off with a story that we covered in the news at the beginning of the last hour. And this is Tom Angel from Marijuana Majority, writing for marijuana.com, uncovered this Justice Department memo that shows that the Justice Department, the Obama administration, was playing shenanigans during the debate over the Rohrabacher Amendment. Okay, so you know the Rohrabacher Amendment was the one that prohibits the state, the federal government, the Justice Department, from spending any funds to go after the medical marijuana states, right? To prevent such states from implementing their own state laws that authorize the use, distribution, possession, or cultivation of medical marijuana. So in other words, DEA, go away. Can't raid anymore. Justice Department can't threaten landlords anymore. If the state legalizes medical marijuana, then you can't spend any money going after them. That was the memo, right? So there's a big debate on this memo, or a big debate on this amendment, I should say. And it did pass. It passed 219 to 180 something, I think. It did pass. And this is the law right now. The Justice Department can't spend money to go after the medical marijuana states, right? Well, the Justice Department put out some talking points, informal talking points, during the debate on this bill that made the point that if this bill passed that protected the medical marijuana states, it would also tie the Justice Department's hands in the recreational marijuana states, saying, quote, it would take away the ability of the Department of Justice to... The quotes from some of the representatives who got these talking points. So, like, DEA, Department of Justice, makes these talking points and say, hey, if you pass this protection for medical marijuana states, you're also tying our hands in the recreational marijuana states. And that would, you'd figure, make it harder for some representatives to vote for this, right? Andy Harris, one of Congress's #1 drug warriors, said, quote, the amendment as written would tie the DEA's hands beyond medical marijuana, end quote. John Fleming, Republican in Louisiana, another ardent drug warrior, said, quote, it would take away the ability of the Department of Justice to protect our young people. It would just make it difficult, if not impossible, for the DEA and the Department of Justice to enforce the law, end quote. Well, the Department of Justice now, in this memo, admits that that was bullshit. Prior to the passage of the appropriations bill, the department provided Congress with informal talking points addressing the amendment introduced by Representative Rohrabacher. The talking points were consistent with the approach taken in this memorandum, with the exception that they warned that in states that permitted recreational marijuana, Representative Rohrabacher's amendment could, quote, in effect limit or possibly eliminate the department's ability to enforce federal law in recreational marijuana cases as well, end quote. This suggestion, which was intended to discourage passage of the rider, does not reflect our current thinking. Now, their previous thinking was, yeah, let's put this in and try to make this thing fail, but not their current. We do not read the amendment as placing any limitations on our ability to investigate and prosecute crimes involving recreational marijuana. Now, this, you'd think, is kind of a good thing. It's kind of a gotcha, like, aha, shenanigans. You guys were lying about this amendment in order to try to get it from passing. And that is one uptake of this. But Christopher Ingraham, writing in the Washington Post, brings up another point. And that is, does not reflect our current thinking here, has to do what they think this law means. It contends the Department of Justice, when it reads the sentence that says they're barred from using federal funds to prevent such states from implementing their own state laws that authorize the use, distribution, possession, or cultivation of medical marijuana, they think of that literally. They think that amendment means the only thing they can't spend money on is preventing the states from doing their medical marijuana thing. Like, the Department of Justice couldn't come in and break up the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program Office, the state office, right? But they don't think it has any meaning to prosecuting the businesses or individuals operating under state law. They say, quote, it prohibits the department from preventing the implementation of state laws, that is, from impeding the ability of states to carry out their medical marijuana laws, not from taking actions against particular individuals or entities, even if they are acting compliant with state law, end quote. Now, they floated this trial balloon before, but this is the first time they've made it official. But when they floated this a few months ago, Dana Rohrabacher himself said, quote, as the author of the provision in question, we write to inform you that this interpretation of our amendment is emphatically wrong. The implementation of state law is carried out by individuals and businesses as the state authorizes them to do so. For the DOJ to argue otherwise is a tortuous twisting of the text, and common sense and the use of federal funds to prevent these individuals and businesses from acting in accordance with state law is clearly in violation of the amendment. And they want the Justice Department's Inspector General to start investigating the Department of Justice for their apparent violation of the law, referring to some of the DEA raids that have taken place since this became law. So the DEA claims that, nope, that's not what the law meant. The guys that wrote the law say, yeah, that's what it meant. The lengths to which the prohibitionist dinosaurs will go to maintain this evil prohibition. It's amazing, isn't it? It's like they're going to have to rewrite the amendment next year. This amendment prohibits the Department of Justice and the DEA from expending federal funds to stop the implementation of state medical marijuana laws, including the prosecution of individuals and businesses acting in accordance with those state laws. They're just going to have to get more literal with it, I guess. This is one of the problems we have, and Christopher Ingraham nails it in his closing. The department seems to be trying to have it both ways. Before the bill passed, officials argued that it would severely disrupt their enforcement efforts. Now they're maintaining that it changes nothing at all. A department spokesman told marijuana.com that, quote, we don't expect that the amendment will impact our ability to prosecute private individuals or private entities who are violating the Controlled Substances Act, end quote. That's right. They're trying to have it both ways. They were arguing in Congress that, oh my God, you passed this thing, it's going to tie our hands in the recreational states. We'll never be able to stop anybody. Now they're saying, oh, no, it doesn't say that. We can bust anyone we want. Ingraham closes with, needless to say, the amendment sponsors don't see it that way. This memo uses a lot of legal jargon to twist the issue, but Congress was clear. This is Sam Farr, the other author. Stop prosecuting medical marijuana patients and their providers. How much simpler can we put it? The National Conference of State Legislators today called on the federal government to say, let us implement our own state laws on marijuana. Even the states that don't have marijuana, some of the states that don't have marijuana laws, medical or recreational or decrim, still believe that, hey, it's a states' rights thing. My own home state of Idaho believes that. They're never, ever, ever going to support legalizing marijuana, but they're also never going to support the federal government overturning Oregon's or Washington's legalization. Idahoans would be the first ones to vote against something like that, because they're actually being somewhat consistent on the states' rights issue for their own agenda with immigration or abortion or whatever else it might be, religious rights, whatever. But at least they're consistent. Hey, folks, that's all the time we got for today. Time flies when you legalize. Make sure you get the podcast downloads on iTunes or just check 420radio.org. Scroll all the way down. You'll see where the podcast links are. You can find us on Stitcher and TuneIn Radio as well. For everyone here in legal Potland, Oregon, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, Take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.